most of the practices in your book, and it's full of, I don't know, 100 or so practices, so that things that people can go out and do are practices that one does on one's own. That's right, isn't it? It's so, or in nature, but largely not without another person there. Is that? I'm sure that's deliberate, but tell us about that.
I mean, you could do it with other people together, but the idea is it's really a handbook that I felt people could have and use in their own way, in their own path, at home, so it's also built that you could just dip your toes in it, or go really fully into a journey and do so. Some practice can require much more commitment, and others can can be done in the city because the environment and nature is everywhere, and it's more understanding that they have pros and cons that they give you.
Yeah.
But it's really a book that I wanted people to be able to open any page and just, if they wanted, they could just do a practice and just see for themselves. Because the idea is that I'm making suggestions to think and look at the world, but inviting people to experience that through movement.
Yeah.
To question, I'm inviting people to question the human bias perspective, but not to tell them, oh, you have a human bias perspective. I just want you to go and experience that and find out for yourself what that means. I'm kind of more, not say as a set thing, I kind of feel that's something that needs to be explored, and I'm giving lots of different doors, and some of the practices can sort of overlap or come back to similar theme, but there are lots of different doors to sort of find your own practice within that, and then from that people might find different ways to do what I'm suggesting. For me it's not fixed here again, it's more like the entry points that can be done in your own time. For people that might never have a chance to do a full workshop with that, how could we still practice that even if you're not a committed dancer or mover to this practice? How could we be all more conscious of that?
Yes. So, I mean, to elaborate a bit on the practices, I know my favourite one, but do you want to tell me one of your favourites, just to give an idea of the kind of thing that you're suggesting that people go and experiment with?
One of my favourite is quite hard, but I think I'll start with one of the first one that I came up with. That I think that is the idea of, as human, we're very much built in a certain way that the head is always the one on top.
This is my favourite one.
I see your favourite one. Yeah. That's good.
So tell us about it.
And so for me, it was just like opening up to the idea of what it's like to not move with your head on top, whatever that might look like, and because the head is everything that is to do with thinking, with the idea of a human, with the idea that we are superior human, a superior species on this planet. And what does it mean that we take that away slightly, that we move in a different way? In a way, it kind of forces us more into humility, and it's just a pure exploration of it. Basically, is moving without the head on top.
Yeah. Which anyone can do. You can do it in a wheelchair. You can do it if you just had a hip replacement. Anyone can do it.
You could just and I build up to it with, like, there's one that's called dropping your head, and just feeling what it's like to drop your head. And another one is, if it's dropping is too hard, you can rest your head onto something, and there is something so powerful about that, about just resting your head, and because it's how much carrying the head all the time, and how much just gives a different perspective to what it used to be in a body.
So then, I'm doing that practice, say, and what would you be inviting me to? Would you be inviting me to go away and write things down, or just to notice what kind of what would? So I'm doing that. What do you ask me to do then?
I guess I'm just asking you to to really feel what it's like to be in this position. And it might be that you feel a lot of discomfort, you hate it, and in itself that's quite interesting. Why is it such a discomfort? But maybe from that you could also see what's different to the normal way of being. Am I seeing things from a different way, or is it bringing, as I try to not move with my head on top, how does it make me look at the world in a different way, or animate my body? What does it do about my understanding of being human and opening new avenues to move and new avenues to think? And it might be very uncomfortable to start with, just realizing, I guess to some extent, for some people it might be just realizing how much we're conditioned in moving in certain ways, and how for us moving out of that is actually quite difficult, and having compassion for ourselves with it, but also how not being able to, because it's so difficult for us, does shape our vision of the world and what impact it has, and recognize that limitation, and even if you can't do it, recognize, okay, this is what I'm working with, and I need to acknowledge that.
Yes.